Hi everyone. So this video is going to be on these books that I send home, like the Emergent Reader books. We use these a lot in the classroom in small groups, so it'd be just like your child and a few others, and they would all have the same book. And so what's so important about this part of pre-K is that we talk about a lot of skills. So, knowing what a title is, so knowing that it's the actual words on the front cover, talking about illustrations and how those two things together can give us an idea about what's inside the book. So we always talk about that. So we'll, in class, and something that you can do when you have these books at your house with your little readers is to say something like, oh, can you find the title? What's the title again? Oh, the words. I see the words. You're right. And I'll help you with them. How many words do we have to read today? And always talking about how that space between the words signifies that this is the end of a word and this is the beginning of a new one. And we have to get our mouths ready because we know some of the sounds. And L says L, and the title of this is Little Shapes. And every time I go to a different word, I always try to start at the very beginning of the next word and slide. So little, and then start here, shapes. Because if you start here, then they get confused about like where do you start the sound to sound out the letters. And then again, giving them that time to say, like, what do you think this book is about? Does it look like something that's interesting to you? Because when you get older and you can pick out your own books, reading the title and looking at the pictures is something that, that I do to pick out, to think, am I going to like to read this? And then as you read it with them again, practicing that, having them open the book, saying, oh, can you open it to the first page, so that they know that a book gets opened from the left to the right, or handing them the book still like that, like upside down and backwards, and being like, okay, let's start it, and see if they notice, and then see if they flip it so that they know the direction that the book should be at. And you can be silly with that. They think it's really funny. Usually. And then again, the first time you read a book, sometimes I call them picture walks with the kids. So the first time we read through a book, we might just look at each of the pictures and be like, oh, that's a silly shape. Do you know what that shape is? And then just kind of do that before we do any of the words. And then if they know a sound, so for example, if they know the t sound and they know that's a triangle, you can be like, oh, which word do you think is triangle? Can you find the letter T word? Triangle. Very good. So you can do that kind of thing, and then just picture walk it. Now this book's a little, like, this book would be more fun to do a picture walk with, and you could talk about the colors of the flowers and how, do turtles jump? This must be a really silly book, and things like that. But then when you I'll actually use this one. When you actually start to use the words again, you've already done the do donkeys dance, 3 words, talking about that space in between, and then you read. And the first time that you read the book to them, you just read pointing, making sure they know that we read from left to right and from top to bottom. Pointing out like the question, this is a question, so we have to answer it. Do pigs buzz around flowers? Do they? That kind of thing. That'd be silly. What would happen if they actually did that? Again, pointing out, oh, that's not a question because that's a period. And again, they're not going to get it the first time, second time, third time, but after they hear these words so many times, they might start getting it. And then I might point out patterns, like, oh, I see a pattern. It's yellow, black, yellow, black. Can you find another pattern? Throughout this book. Anyways, and so we just keep going through that. And then maybe the second time that you read through, a lot of the books that I send home have repetitive words. So I'd say, little triangle, what do you see? And then I see a, and see if they remember that says little circle looking at me, and pointing out me, and seeing if they can see the pattern, and if they can read. And then you'll be like, oh, can you point to each word? Littles, and then have them point to the words. And that's kind of what those emergent readers are sent home for, is to talk about titles, talk about illustrations, order, which way do we flip the page, how many words do we see on the page, what do the spaces mean. And those are all things that you don't have to ask all those questions all the same book reading, but They can be done throughout the week and with different books, but that's what we do. What we do in school, and they would each have their own book, and then they would start to, you know, be the pointers, and they would start to read it, and yeah, so that's an idea for these books and the emergent readers. But mainly, what I really want is just be reading, be excited about reading. You know, be like, oh, I wonder what book Miss Michelle sent home. Let's read it together. Let's cuddle up, because if there's anything I want them to get out of pre-K, it's just like that love for learning and that love for books, and that books are fun, and you know, they see you reading, and that they have good models for that, and that, you know, you're proud of them when they pick up a book, and things like that. So anyways, that's my spill. So that's our video on what you could be doing with some of the books that I sent home.